Hello, everyone. So, for this blog, I want to quickly discuss three main points. First of all, I want to give out my reaction and commentary in regards to the news, the headline for the week, which is the Nobel Peace Prize announcement for Prime Minister Abiy. That's the first point. Second point, I want to quickly discuss the issue, an ongoing topic that I always present as a point of criticism is hypernationalism within the Eritrean politics and the Eritrean online space. These are the second point. Third is the I want to discuss more about social media and the importance of having a difference of opinion. How do you engage in an ideological struggle, and so on and so on. So let's begin. As everybody in the world is aware, the Nobel Peace Prize has pretty much selected Prime Minister Abiy. For me, I was in shock. I was expecting that he would get it, to be honest. In the lead up to the news, 5 days before the news, I was thinking he might get the nomination because, I mean, the Nobel Peace Prize in the end. I saw the pretty much the nomination overall who selected. It was the climate change activist, the young lady. There was a lot of factors for her not to actually win it. She was young. There was a lot of she hasn't really done anything tangible. She just showed up at the UN and made a speech, a tearful speech, and then there's a march. That's not really tangible. There's actually are serious climate change activists out there in the global south who are black and brown who are doing more than her, the indigenous activists. So she just, I'm not criticizing the young lady herself. It's just the people behind her. There's a lot of talking points. There's a lot of criticism about her, the people behind her, and how she's presented, disregarding the indigenous activists and in the global south. Those are truly the climate activists. Anyways, as far as the nomination, how he was selected, I have no issue with. I support the point that this highlights the peace itself. I don't really care about the Nobel Peace Prize. I never cared for it. In the past, there has been instances of where they have selected some powerful people to win the Nobel Peace Prize, which they have committed crimes. They have been selected for a Nobel Peace Prize. So the organization itself has had a bad track record. So on this instance, I'm not endorsing the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm endorsing the fact that the media or global media is highlighting the importance of peace between Eritrea and Ethiopia. And this is important. Why? Because the last 6 months or 8 months, ever since the peace deal was signed, has been regime change elements who have been pushing this negative narrative to make people distract people from the issue and why we had war for 18 years, distract and insert their own narrative, manipulate the situation and put a negative spin on the peace deal. Why would you oppose the peace deal? These regime change activists have centered themselves and opposed this Nobel Peace Prize by saying this is not right, other circumstances and other talking points. They oppose the peace deal. They rather revert back to the hostile 18 years of occupation because their narrative will be centered. They have a problem because they are losing their narrative of chaos and crisis. So whenever you have peace between these normalization of people, state relations, normalization of trade, and that is ongoing as well, that's developing, tensions are decreasing. These are entrepreneur NGOs, regime change activists whose funding and grants is built on crisis. So they don't need peace. They rather have instigation of the 18 years of declare war on Eritrea so that they can take advantage. It is in their political interest to not have peace. That's why you have heard these narrative, the 5 people on social media who are selected by Al Jazeera and other athletes to pretty much be this voice of Eritreans when they're just 5 individuals. So that's my issue. I think I don't endorse the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't endorse Abiy himself because he himself has very neoliberal politics. His views of the world is very neoliberal. And also he's an Abyssinian Oromo class, political class, meaning he has an Oromo origin, but he's more in line with the Abyssinians in his view of the greater Ethiopia. He upholds Menelik, upholds Haile Selassie without criticism. These are people who are committed genocide against the Oromos. And he pretty much hero worships them as a way to appease the settler class in Addis Ababa. So he has problematic issues as an individual that I disagree with. But I recognize the importance of peace between Eritrea and Ethiopia, and that's far important to highlight than my disagreement with his neoliberal politics and his Abyssinian ways. That's the end. Another thing is there are people who are saying the president of Eritrea should have gotten this this Nobel Peace Prize as well as a joint shared Nobel Peace Prize. Sure, he could have got it. I think that's important to highlight. The Eritrean state has pushed out efforts to actually have engagement with the TPLF regime, and they have been pushed back. This is the truth. But in the end, symbolically, the real guarantor of peace are the Eritrean Defense Forces and the Eritrean people who resisted and have been patient against this 18 years of war. They're the one that should pretty much symbolically get the award. And the Oromo people who resisted and put a pressure on TPLF regime. These are the two main people who symbolically should gain the award for the Nobel Peace Prize, honestly. But that's a separate issue. I don't believe that we should highlight the individual role over the masses. That's my issue overall. Okay, that's the first point. Second point is, as relating to overly focusing on the individual, with this week is people overly centering the president of Eritrea. You can't reject the Nobel Peace Prizes, call it Eurocentric, and all this talking points rhetoric, and then at the same time cry about why he didn't get it. I don't really care if he got it. That's not my issue. I'm just happy that the world and the news outlets are highlighting the peace deal. That's more important. That narrative is really strong. We need that. The importance of having, because there are quarters and enemy regime change activists who really are trying to muddle the noise about the peace. That's far important. I really don't care about giving credit to the president or Abiy. That's not my issue. Third, on my last post regarding to Emmanuel, this hyper-nationalist guy who writes on Testify News and all these articles, who pretty much have this hatred of Tigrayans. He overly profiled the president in a personality cultish way and overly exaggerate the realities of Eritrean nationalism on the ground. It is detached. That's just my ideological disagreement with this person. Now, I didn't really care that I got blocked. So how did I get to this? How did I find out? Meskaram.net, the account on Facebook, posted a screenshot commenting on his post. I don't follow him. It's not in my world to actually follow these people. I would just see like, okay, what did he say? He made a comment about the Nobel Peace Prize, and I was trying to go back to Twitter and look at it, and I was blocked. There's no issue. That's his personal problems, but I just posted that I was blocked, and I was saying that he's a hyper-nationalist, which is true. When you overly focus on the president, that has nothing to do with the Eritrean revolution. It has nothing to do with defending the state. That is my problem with the hyper-nationalists, is you're detached from the realities of the people on the ground. Nobody is thinking like you guys. You guys over-exaggerate this reality on the ground. That is my disagreement. Ideological disagreement. You overly promote a cultish view of the president, which has nothing to do with the Eritrean people and defending the state. That's my issue. And another thing is, how do you actually have a disagreement and why we need it? We need to have an ideological engagement and disagreement. It's okay to welcome it. Now, if I have disagreements and somebody comes to me and say, yo, Philmon, the way you're talking, and this is engagement, they give me factual talking points, and I, as an Eritrean, I have to readjust and make that point. And if I'm wrong, I'll make that adjustment. But if I am bringing legitimate criticism, the problematic issue with this individual, is coming from a history of this. Whenever I posted something critical or something like this out of the set narrative, this person individual has come out commented on my page or posts in the past, like pretty much trying to spin it negatively, trying to question what I'm doing as an Eritrean, or spin it very badly in a way that is negatively, to spin it in a way that's like dissent is being viewed as a problem, when it's okay to welcome it. An ideological struggle is important to move the movement forward. Without it, it will be stagnant, stale, and rigid. That's what I'm pushing for. Like, I'm not trying to divide my people. I'm trying to make sure the old ideas die and we move forward to a new progressive and a more revolutionary ideas. We need to have this discussion. These hybrid nationalists have choked us for 18 years. Yes, you have to help us develop this in defense of the TPLF regime. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for bringing the issue of the occupation. Thank you very much for bringing the issue of the sanction. Thank you. Now the sanctions and the occupation has ended or lessened. We have to move on. Now we have to focus on what can we do as a people to bring the issue of the length of the national service, the issue of why we need to implement the Constitution, the issue of having organization, having a strong vanguard, the issue of having transparent, accountable process. Look at the Cubans. The Cubans are able to have an assembly. Look at the Chinese. They have an organization. They have implementation of what is the steps. This ministry does this. This core assembly do this. We need that in Eritrea. We have to move away from this 18 years of emergency. I understand that we are being aggressed by the TPLF regime. That's important to highlight. We have been under sanction. The state funding has been harmed, and the state has not been able to perform at a level that is needed. That is important to highlight. At the same time, we're able to focus on organization issues and institutional issues on why we need to strengthen it. That's my problem with the hyper-nationalists. They try to quiet this issue and just focus on one issue at a time. That is the end. Wadina, we're done with this, because at the end of the reality, if you overly focus and highlight the president, that is not the case. The president, he has done great things for the country, and we appreciate him. But at the same time, he's not the same. His branding is not the same. He's not popular as he was in the 90s. He's still popular to the 70s, but he's not to that level. And we have to move away. He's 73, he's 74. We need to engage in ways on how to have the next leadership, how to have these conversations about ways forward, how to have these, unburden our people from the national service that is pretty much was caused by external pressure and sanction. We need to focus on how can we transition, having this high-level conversation rather than just like muted one-dimensional line that has been the case for 18 years, which is necessary, but we have to move forward. Let's lift the state of emergency. We need to discuss the next phase of our country. I am an Eritrean, and I support my country, and I will defend it. But my defense of the country has nothing to do with hyper-nationalism or defending an individual legacy. Everybody has an individual legacy. They all should be defended, no matter who you are, the president or somebody who's unknown. You are my Eritrean people. I'm not here to divide you. I'm here to challenge ourselves and put these conversation and uncomfortable questions out there. Thank you.